You are listening to the Glamourus podcast, a space centering the refined, cultured, and connected Black American woman. I hope you had a wonderful Black History Month. I hope you weren't too triggered going into the stores, seeing a bunch of people who are not Black Americans, centered in our month-long celebration of the legacy of the American Negroes. My Black History Month was good, y'all. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I discovered some new things and some things that really excited me to the point that I had to put this video together and come online and share it with you. First up, G's Bin Quilters and Target collabo. Thank you. I was super excited to see the G's Bin collection at Target. Now, Target for Black History Month, they can go very, very wrong. And yeah, this year they went wrong. We have our usual suspects, a bunch of people who are not Black Americans featured for their Black History Month collection, but they did get it right. And I was very, very surprised that they even knew who the G's Bin quilters are. I'm familiar with the G's Bin quilters. I came across them like over a decade ago, and they are a group of quilters who are the descendants of enslaved Black Americans who are based in Alabama, and they've been making these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful quilts for a very, very long time. And in the last couple of decades, they have been getting recognition for their work. So this collaboration, it says this partnership was made possible through a collaboration with the nonprofit organization Nest. And so here you can see some of the items. We have a regular crew neck t-shirt with a patchwork type of pocket with the designs. And then you have one for the kids. And you have this one and this one with the green with this tote bag, which is very, very cute. Now, this pattern was actually my favorite, and as you can see, it is out of stock. When I had went back, I was like, oh, this would be really, really cute. I have like a million notebooks. I do like to write, and this was my favorite. Let's take a peek. Yes, this was one of my faves. And it is sold out. And then they had a matching throw pillow. And the prices were really reasonable. It was only $20. Now, of course, my only critique, I would say, with this collection, as you can see, is it's not actually quilting in the tradition that they do as far as the little pieces. I think they call that piecework, where you have all the little, at least as from what I can see. Or maybe, yeah, I think it's kind of like a quilt. They did put some pieces together, but as you can see, where the black square is to the white square, it doesn't look like this was sewn together. This looks like this was printed on some fabric, and then they sewed. I think all of this is actually printed on fabric. Oh wait, no, I see a seam right there. Yeah, I think what they did is they printed it directly, the pattern directly onto the fabric, and then they sewed some of them together, but it's not as intricate as some of the other work that they had. And this one, of course, is out of stock. Yeah, this one was very, very chic. I could easily see adding this to my home office, which I have this kind of like black and white or to any of my black and white decor. Now, it did have red on the back, but that's probably because the other pieces in the collection, like this one has red, and this was another pattern that I liked. I thought this was cute, and once again, it was very affordable, $10. And so just a little bit about G's Bin. I was on Etsy actually last week, and I noticed they were featured for Black History Month, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And I was very excited about this because when they came to my attention through, I want to say, a PBS documentary, and there was actually some white couple, I want to say from San Francisco, that had kind of came upon their work and were selling their stuff for like thousands of dollars. And I was concerned, if the quilters were being exploited. And so I'm so happy that I don't know who Nest is. I gotta I may look them up to see if it's a reputable nonprofit. Hopefully, Nest is a nonprofit by their descendants that they created. But in any event, it looks like they are able to go through Etsy, which is good, so they can sell directly and not have to go to the middleman. Although I will give them a little bit of credit, the white couple. I want to say they're out of San Francisco. They were able to connect them on an international market, but we know from history that most things that the descendants of the pale Slavic white people, they typically don't do things altruistically for Black Americans, because that's the reason why they came over here, is for trade and for commerce. And so Black Americans, our culture and our creativity and our art has launched many of industries, and quilting is no different. And so I'm going to read just a little bit of this. It says, discover the rare chance to own G's Ben Quilt's one-of-a-kind patchwork pieces from the women of a rural Black community of Alabama quilting legends. Deep in the South is a small rural community surrounded by the Alabama River and steeped in history. The 700 or so residents of G's Bend, now named Boykin, are mostly descendants of slaves. For generations, they worked the fields belonging to the local Petway plantation. Since the early 1900s, the women have quilted hundreds of patchwork masterpieces, passing their expertise in patterns down through the years. Known worldwide as the G's Bend Quilters, their renowned works have been featured in over 20 museums, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And for the first time, these expressive tapestries are available for purchase online. And so you can go on Etsy and review the whole thing and look them up. This is one of the quilters. And you can just see these are all scraps of fabrics. And to sit and lay these pieces out and to even create a motif and then to sew each seam together. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. From someone who myself I sew, I know how much work this is, and it's one of my goals actually in life, is to put together a quilt. And you can see on the back, these are all the seams over here. You can see over here, this one had to be sewn to this one, then that angle, then that one. It's just a lot of work. So I was very surprised and impressed that Target would feature them. Now, like I said, if you can compare this work, like from that black and white pillow right here, and as I showed, you can see these are not all pieces together, like they kind of cheated with it. But you can see here, each color block was sewn together. So that's a lot of work. Just scroll through. Look how beautiful that is. Just beautiful, beautiful. Oh, look at these. Just so beautiful. And you can purchase these right now from Etsy. And so that would be my only critique of the collection, is I think they kind of, and really all of the Target Black History Month this year was kind of like chintzy. They had, it looks like a lot of, what do they call it? Print to garment or direct print to garment. Like everyone's printing on t-shirts. And they just kind of took some designs and printed them on like tumblers and pillows and blankets. It wasn't, to me, a vendor like Target, they should have had more pieces. So anyway, this is just giving you an idea of the work that G's Bend actually does. Ugh, that's so cute. I love that. Love, love. And here are, and they were featured on the Huffington Post. This is an article from the Huffington Post giving you a better view of what was available. There's that tumbler that I really, really wanted that tumbler, but it's sold out. So I encourage you to go online. These are some of the quilters and their descendants, and check out G's Bin. And these are the products that were sold. This is that blanket with the, or a blanket with the pattern of the pillow that I like. She has my notebook. She has the notebook. And I'm just so happy that they had this opportunity to distribute and get more recognition on such a larger scale. They really, like, this brought joy to my heart. I hope they got, a very good distribution of the profits and that they weren't exploited. But I'm so happy for them. This really warmed my heart. Already juiced about G's Bend, and here comes Cross Colors and Mattel under their Barbie brand in February out of the blue.
This mini version was featured by Mattel on the Instagram page Barbie Style with the pop star storyline. The fashion brand, whose motto is clothing without prejudice, says, "We think these dolls are the flyest." Cross Colors got famous with the launch of 90s West Coast hip hop.
Yes, James. Give her a warm welcome.
Hi, friends.
Thanks for hopping on the show today, Barbie.
It's so exciting to finally see your side hustle in person.
How fun is this? The Barbie and Ken apparel will be available this summer or fall. As for the dolls, you know you want one. Manufacturing decisions are still in the works.
Okay, so as you heard, this looks like this is going to be an upcoming production. And so we're just getting a little taste of it. I'm really feeling Mattel right now. They are collaborating a bit more with Black Americans. They had a series, I think it was called Aspiring Women, where they had the Madam C.J. Walker doll, and they actually consulted with her granddaughter or her great granddaughter who's been keeping the legacy alive, and they decorated the box like a hair salon. Now I will say they were a little bit cheap because the face mold that they used did not look like Madam CJ Walker. And I will say that the granddaughter has been on like her own, I don't know. I feel like she's like a Pan Africanist because, she's African. It's like, no. And then the hue of the doll was it was a darker shade of brown. And Madam C.J. Walker wasn't a dark skinned woman. So I think sometimes when we're trying to, make a point, we be doing too much. Like, let Madam C.J. Walker be who Madam C.J. Walker was. But anyway, it was nice that Mattel did add her and then added all of those touches. So the Barbie brand connecting with Cross Colors, I'm not necessarily surprised. We are in the era of nostalgia since nothing else is being created. Black Americans right now, we are really in quite a predicament. So creativity, we still do create, but the freedom to create a clothing line and a brand and to have the resources in the community is definitely different. So this is the United States, and if we the Americans aren't creating anything, then there's nothing new. So I'm not necessarily surprised by this collaboration. I think it was smart. I hope they do FUBU next, because that would be like it, like all those brands in like the early 2000s that was at Macy's and whatnot. Oh, that would be bomb. But I am happy to see Cross Colors, and I'm loving how they have the different hairstyles that we're doing today. Like, you have the twist or the afro that this lady has on, then you got the braids that this sister has on, and then the brother, I think when I'll show you the pictures, you'll see his hairstyle. So I'm loving the attention to detail, texture, and the dolls have come quite a bit of way. And perhaps, we have to give credit to the Olmec dolls. Now, how many of y'all remember that? That brand that had like all the different dolls. I think they were called like Shani. The Imani dolls that used the mold that had more Black American features, such as our nose, and then they had our different fashions that we were wearing at the time. And so I think that actually opened the doors for things to be a bit more culturally relevant. But I will say that Barbie has been doing a lot more to be more as well, I would say more authentic as far as, investing in the different doll molds to give the dolls the features that they need, and, tapping in with the culture to see what's going on. And of course, it's not lost on me that they're in an era where physical toys, are probably in jeopardy, as the little kids today are in a digital world. So these collaborations, I think they're cool. It also opens up to a broader market for adults to buy the toys, because I'm getting me a doll. I'm going to get the doll. I don't know what I'm doing with the doll, but I'm going to have it as a collector's item. This actually excites me because Cross Colors was one of those, like one of the first for us by us brands, and it's always so cool to see our people taking their designs and then just launching it out and saying, we are authentic, we are worthy, we are relevant, and we don't have to assimilate to what you're doing. We're going to take the styles that we're doing and elevate them and sell them to our people. We can do our own thing, and they really proved that for that era. So we're taking a look at the Cross Colors Barbie collaboration. This is like a little mini lookbook. Hopefully they will have more dolls. But the first look we have, this sister, she has her huge, I guess they're calling box braids. Back in the day, we used to call them Dookie braids or Gucci braids. And you know what? I just can't with them. They got the little baby hairs, which is very trendy right now. And so that's the type of details that I'm talking about. She has her nose ring, she has her hoop earrings, like sis is fly. Then our second look, we have the vintage cat suit, but with the shorts, which was very trendy in the 90s. And I like how they have it with a longer coat over. And once again, I love her hair. I love that she has her blonde twist out afro, and then she has the thigh high boots. Like, come on, Barbie is not playing with us. And then number three, our dude, he has his twist or his locks. He has one of the classic, I guess you can call it like a bomber style jacket with the raglan sleeves and the cross color logos with his hat. And then he has more of a contemporary hairstyle with it halfway shaved. So, he's just giving us a lot right now. And then the last picture that I really, really like is, I like that they're all together. And I like the backdrop as if you were in New York or in a big city. And, they're posing for the pictures. Like, this is Black Americanness all day. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what makes, for me, Black History Month special. These new histories that are being made. Like, this was a very exciting collaboration. It almost topped my G's Bend. I mean, actually, no, because I'm really a big G's Bend fan. So, but this is next on my list. But I love that they're posing together, and I love that they have men and women for the dolls, because we've been leaning very, very female. So I think this would be good, um, to have Black men, and the Black man is looking masculine. With these, when they start talking about diversity, like they were saying on that Instagram post, that could go many, many ways. So I'm glad that he's not wearing heels. He has on a pair of joggers, the bomber style jacket with the hoodie and the cap. They made him interesting, I guess, with that high earring, but otherwise I do think he's giving us some masculinity, and I think true to the brand, so I am happy about that as well. These are some of the vintage styles from Cross Colors. You have the bucket hat with the X, which is giving me Malcolm X ish style stuff. I think that movie, with Denzel Washington, the Spike Lee joint, came out in 1992, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody had the X to show, like, yeah, he was really about that. And then, of course, the bomber style jacket that Cross Colors would do with the color blocking. They did a lot of color blocking. And then the image on the right is one of the promotional or the ads that they were doing to advertise. It was probably in a magazine at the time. So very, very exciting. More vintage cross colors. These are some of the promotional ads that you probably would have saw on or in a magazine. On the right, you have that classic bomber jacket that they really revamped with the color blocking as well as with the quilted type pattern in the diamond shape. And then you have their logo and then that stripe pattern that they did a lot of. And then on the right, you have the athletic type of gear. What do they call it? Athleisure today. Well, that was popping in the 90s too. Like everybody had on their workout gear in the late 80s and the early 90s. She has the headband, once again, the color blocking on the arms, and then she has on the Jodeci boots. But if you look a little closer, it says, yo, we want to say it again and say it loud. Stop the violence, cross colors. And just the fact that you're able to use, our own vernacular and grammar, the way we talked during that time was a big deal because you had a lot of people who were trying to not necessarily assimilate, but this is when we really were starting to code switch in the corporate world. And then hip hop, as it was emerging, was really becoming a thing, but it was kind of like, I guess it was controversial in the sense of contra going against something or opposite of what was. And so to come out with a fashion label, not trying to assimilate, but really using the words that Black people used, as well as Black people who were on the streets, as well as people who were not on the streets, just Black culture was a very, very big deal. To have advertising like that, just think of that juxtaposed to some of the other I guess European brands, because European fashion was really big in the 90s, before some of the American ready to wear designers came out. So for this to be a ready to wear brand using our slang, our language was a really, really big deal. And it had a message. I think it's stop the violence. The as in D. I just picked that up. I had to do it. Like, what was a bigger fashion moment for Black History Month 2024 than Jermaine Dupri's Super Bowl outfit? And y'all were so wrong on the interwebs and the social media. Like, the Black internet is absolutely out of control, but this was one of my favorite pictures. We have him looking like a munchkin because Jermaine Dupri is short. I'm not even sure if he's 5 feet. And so this outfit was just really, really, really wrong. It was wrong on many levels. I actually am going to do a video talking about Pharrell, his collection in Black Boy Joy, and this somewhat infantilization of Black men. We already know that the effeminization of Black males is happening right now, but this infantilizing them, I think that's where, yes, is happening too, where you have grown men dressing like children. Like this looks like a schoolboy's outfit, and of course everybody was roasting him with these socks. When I first saw the socks from a distance, looking at it, I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, do they have ruffles on them? So I was completely confused, but this was probably one of the most funniest, terrible outfits I've ever seen. Oh, and the carnage up close and personal. And Jermaine Dupri, he had to come out and he really couldn't say much about the outfit because he was getting roasted all over the internet. I mean, online, offline, in the news. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. But he was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. These Louis Vuitton socks. And so if you're not aware, Pharrell Williams is now I think he's the creative director is his official title of Louis Vuitton, I believe the menswear edition. I think he's just doing the menswear, but I could be wrong. But he is the new figure of the house. And so you're going to see more Black Americans wearing Louis Vuitton. I think Beyonce wore Louis Vuitton to the Grammys. She had the checkered pattern that they have with her cowboy hat. So you're going to see more people. But just because it's Louis Vuitton doesn't mean it's cute. Like, these socks are very, very wrong. And then they have the pearls, and I'm going to do an upcoming video talking about menswear and fashion in my commentary between Black Boy Joy, Black Men Smile, Black Men Wear Pearls. Black Men Wear Pearls was a campaign from I want to say he was like North African designer or something, some Middle Eastern designer that was trying to have black men wear pearls a few years ago, and it was just looking, oh my God, it was terrible. They had like the Russian babushka scarves with big pearls. It just, it was grotesque. It was awful. And then to top it off, he got these horrible shoes on. It's just wrong. And these type of shorts, if he really wanted to pull off this schoolboy look, because I think Kendrick Lamar just did some sort of performance where he had a similar look. But if you're trying to pull off the schoolboy look, he would have needed to get those short pants. He is too short to be wearing those. Those pants is probably for somebody at least 5'10". And like I said, I don't think I think he's 5 foot nothing. I don't even think he's at 5 feet. So he was just wrong for that. And the roast just get worse. I mean, this is what we all were thinking. I was thinking this when I seen it. I was like, are those, they remind me of church girl socks. And he had the black shoes. It just reminded me of Sunday morning. And, I don't think I even had a pair of black shoes, but, just Easter Sunday with them frilly socks from the 80s. So I'm glad that he was able to come up close to give us a closer view. But he was wrong for that. He was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. Shame. Thanks so much for watching and listening to the Glamourus podcast. This lovely woman that you see on the screen, her name is Leontine Price, and she is a famous opera singer, and she's wearing one of her fabulous ornate ensembles and costumes that she would have worn to one of her performances. I hope that you got something out of this video. I hope that you learned something new, and I'd love to learn something about you. Definitely leave a comment and subscribe and turn on your notifications. I will be following up with this series, and I still haven't forgot about my politics series where we're talking about the Black vote. But next up, I'm going to finish this off and talk about entertainment and politics during Black History Month and some moments that were noteworthy to me. So stay tuned and tap in with me again.